You wake up and there is no alarm. The light comes in slow through floor-to-ceiling glass, and somewhere below you, the city is already moving. Your phone shows 43 missed calls. You don't answer them right away. You pour your coffee, stand at the edge of your terrace, and for one long moment, you feel completely free. But you didn't start here. Nobody does. This is the story of how that life is built, level by level, decision by decision, and what it actually costs to get there. Level 1, the beginning. You're 20-something, maybe 30. You have a laptop, a half-formed idea, and a number in your bank account that makes you nervous every time you check it. You're not broke, but you're close enough to feel it. You work from your bedroom, or a coffee shop, or both. There's no team, there's no office, there's no salary, just you and the gap between where you are and where you're trying to go. People around you don't completely understand what you're doing. Some of them support you. Most of them wait quietly for you to give up and get a real job. You smile and say you're fine. Sometimes you believe it. This is where most people stop before they even start. The income is almost nothing. A few hundred a month if you're lucky. Maybe a small client. Maybe a product that gets one sale a week. You celebrate every single one of those sales. Because right now, that's what proof feels like. The pressure is quiet, but constant. It doesn't come from a boss. It comes from inside you. Every single morning when you open your eyes, you have chosen uncertainty, and you live with it. Level 2, the first proof. Something worked. You're not sure exactly why, but it did. A product found its first real customers. A service got its first real client. The money coming in is small, but it's consistent. And consistency changes everything about how you feel. You're still doing everything yourself. Sales, operations, customer support. You answer emails at midnight. You fix problems on weekends. There is no such thing as off the clock, because you are the clock. This is where the work becomes real. You make somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 a month. It's enough to stop panicking. It's not enough to relax. You start reinvesting almost everything back into the business because you understand, instinctively, that this moment is fragile. Your environment hasn't changed much. Same apartment, same routine, but your mind has shifted. You think in systems now. You think in leverage. You're no longer asking if this is going to work. You're asking how to make it work faster. The people around you start to take you a little more seriously. That feels good, but that doesn't last as motivation. You need something deeper than approval to keep going. Level 3, the first real test. You've crossed into 5 figures a month. It happened gradually, then suddenly, the way most things do. You hired your first person, a freelancer, maybe a part-timer. You moved out of your bedroom and into a proper workspace. The business is no longer just an idea. It has weight now. And weight brings friction. This is where everything changes. Suddenly, you're not just building, you're managing, you're leading. And those are entirely different skills that nobody warned you about when you started. You discover quickly that hiring someone doesn't have your problems. It changes their shape entirely. Your income is real now. 8, 10, 12,000 a month. But your expenses have grown too. Software, salaries, tools, marketing. The gap between revenue and what's actually yours is wider than you expected. You learn what cash flow really means, usually the hard way. The pressure has changed. It used to be just about survival. Now there are other people's livelihoods involved. That's a different kind of weight. You feel it on Sunday nights. You feel it when a client cancels. You feel it when you have to make a decision and you genuinely don't know if it's right. You stop sleeping as well as you used to. You tell yourself it's temporary. Level 4. The machine begins. Revenue is above $20,000 a month. You have a team now. A small one, but real. You have systems, processes, a product or service that runs without you having to reinvent it every single day. This is what you were aiming for. And it feels exactly like relief for about 3 weeks. Then you see clearly what comes with scale. This is where the pressure becomes invisible but heavier. You are no longer the person doing the work. You are the person making sure the work gets done. And that shift is profound. Your job is now clarity, direction, communication. You have to be certain in front of others, even when you are uncertain inside. That kind of performance takes something out of you that rest doesn't fully restore. Competition shows up. People who were not watching you before are watching you now. Someone launches a product that looks familiar. Someone prices themselves below you. The market that felt open starts to feel crowded. Your relationships feel the pressure too. You're present in your own way, but you're also always partially somewhere else. Your mind is always running calculations. It's a hard thing to explain to someone who hasn't lived it, and most people haven't. You make good money, but you spend more than you expected on keeping the machine running. And keeping the machine running is now your main job. Level 5. The real game starts here. You're past $50,000 a month, maybe approaching 6 figures. You've started to see the architecture of real business, not just the product, but the brand, the market position, the long game. You think in quarters now, sometimes in years. Everything is more serious at this level. The numbers are larger. The mistakes are larger. The consequences of a wrong hire, a bad campaign, a missed signal, all of it compounds faster. This is where most people who made it this far begin to plateau, because the skills that got you here are not the same skills that will take you further. Execution got you to level 5. Strategy will determine what happens next. And strategy requires a kind of thinking that feels uncomfortable when you've spent years just trying to survive. You start to understand what the really successful people mean when they talk about building something that lasts. It's not about the number. It's about the durability. It's about whether this thing runs when you step back from it. You've moved. Your environment has changed. The car is different. The apartment is better. People treat you differently. And you notice it. But you also notice it doesn't do what you thought it would. The external changes and the internal pressure stays roughly the same. That's when the real problem starts, the realization that the next level won't solve it either. Level 6, where the game becomes abstract. Revenue is in the millions now. Annually or monthly, it depends on the model. You have a real organization, directors, departments, systems that move without you. You fly different. You stay in different places. Your network is no longer made up of people trying to get there. It's made up of people who are already there. And that changes the conversation entirely. This is where loneliness becomes the real challenge no one talks about. The higher you go, the fewer people understand what you're actually dealing with. Not because they don't care, but because the problems are specific. The stakes are specific. The kind of thinking required to navigate this level is rare, and you can't always talk openly about it, because information is currency at this level, and trust is hard to calibrate. You have advisors now, lawyers, accountants, a CFO. You make decisions that affect dozens of people directly and hundreds more indirectly. That weight doesn't go away. You get better at carrying it, but it doesn't go away. The freedom you dreamed of at level 1 is real now. The time is yours. But time being yours doesn't mean the mind is quiet. The mind is almost never quiet at this level. It is always building, always anticipating, always running scenarios. Success at this level looks like ease from the outside. From the inside, it looks like a much higher stakes version of the same game you've always been playing. Level 7. The life you imagined. You wake up with no alarm. The light comes in slow. The city moves below you. You have built something real. Something that generates money while you sleep, while you travel, while you simply sit with your coffee and think. You are financially free by almost any meaningful definition of the word. But freedom doesn't mean stillness. This is where people who don't understand success expect you to stop. You don't stop. Not because you're addicted to money, but because the compulsion to build, to solve, to grow. It is not something that financial security removes. It is part of who you are. It was part of who you were before any of this. You chose this path not just for the outcome. You chose it because you were wired for the game. The challenges at this level are subtle. Staying relevant, knowing when to hold and when to sell, knowing what to build next and why, protecting what you've built from the entropy that quietly dismantles things if you stop paying attention. Succession, legacy, meaning. The material things are real and good, but they are not the story. The story is what you became in the process. The versions of yourself you had to become to survive each level. The ones you left behind. The ones you grew into. Very few people see you completely. Not because you hide, but because very few people have the context to understand all of it. What never changes. Across every level, one thing remains constant: the uncertainty. The game changes shape, the stakes change size, but the fundamental condition of building something, the not knowing, the risk, the possibility of being completely wrong, that stays. At level 1, you feared you would never make it. At level 7, you fear you might lose it. Fear doesn't disappear. It just finds more sophisticated things to attach itself to. What also never changes is the work. The idea that there is a level where effort stops being required is a myth. The quality of the effort changes. The type of thinking required changes. But the discipline, the attention, the refusal to coast, those are permanent requirements. And the trade-offs never fully resolve. Time versus money. Scale versus intimacy, growth versus stability. You don't eventually reach a level where the trade-offs disappear. You just become more sophisticated in how you navigate them. The people who last at every level understand one thing deeply. This is not a sprint with a finish line. It is a practice. It requires constant recalibration. It rewards honesty about the market, about your team, and most of all, about yourself. The ones who burn out are usually the ones who believed that the next level would finally fix something inside them. It won't. That work is separate, and it is just as important. You are standing at whatever level you're at right now. Maybe it's the beginning. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Maybe you've been playing this game for a long time and you know exactly what this feels like. The question is never whether the road is hard. It is. Every level of it. The question is whether what you're building is worth the person you have to become to build it. Only you can answer that. And the answer will probably change more than once. That's the real story of an entrepreneur. Not the income, not the exit, not the car or the penthouse or the freedom. It's the continuous, uncomfortable, occasionally exhilarating work of becoming equal to the challenges you chose.